We are live. Here we are, day 3 of AAPEX in Las Vegas. Obviously a special week for everybody, no matter where you sit in the world of automotive. Technology, distribution, manufacturers, enthusiasts, right? We have SEMA right across the road at the convention center. We're operating out of Venetian. It thus far has been just an incredible week. I genuinely, by day 3, I've slept less and less every night because everyone's just having a really good time, and you meet, that become your friends year over year, and you see them at events, and then it just becomes a matter of almost a family. So it's a very exciting time, but more importantly, Meagan Moody, ZF Aftermarket. Mm-hmm. Welcome to 2W out at AAPEX.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
How is everything going? I know you guys have a lot going on. Obviously, ZF is really a monster mover from the manufacturing side. You guys have a beautiful booth, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I always actually love it because it's stunning.
Well, thank you.
It's wide, it's beautiful, it's bright. It's stunning. Every year I was like, who engineered this?
Well, we have a huge team that goes into it for planning, and we're, of course, the booth builders is really what makes it come alive. But a good, solid team that puts the effort into it.
No, that's great. One thing I kind of want to talk a little bit about is, and I saw you went to Africa recently.
I did. I went on a 2.5-week safari this year.
Yeah.
It has been my bucket list item for years. Yes.
Well, you had a post, and we'll get into new product releases with ZF, kind of where you guys are going, really kind of where you're pushing into the future. I think we're seeing a lot of evolution and change in our industry as a whole. Africa, you posted, I saw it, and it is intriguing. An auto parts shop in Africa, and I think a lot of people saw it. So if people are listening, and I think because it made it made a little bit. It's walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, I'm an industry geek, right? Like I love our industry. And so it was really natural for me, which made it really funny for the woman that also was on the trip with me. Anytime I asked a question around automotive to like our drivers or anything like that, she's like, of course you're asking. But it was so, I've been really blessed to see our industry in other countries across the world. Yeah. But like when I was in Africa, it was a whole different experience because I mean, it is for those that haven't seen the picture, it's literally just like this tiny little like
a phone booth.
Not even a 10 by 10, barely a phone, like you said, a phone booth, like just up on the side of the road. And it is so old school, like even, I mean, it primitive, plus like when we used to put all these like graphics of parts all over the sides of buildings decades and decades ago, like that's what you see on these metal sheets, for this little shack. And so it's interesting because I mean it's just there, and it's there on the side of the road, or it's built into the these tiny little towns you pass through. And so it was really interesting to see it. And for me, when I was in Kenya, we had to ask our driver, we're like, does Toyota own Kenya? Like, because
that's all there was.
All you saw. I mean, every single safari vehicle is a Land Cruiser, and then even when you get back into like the bigger cities, it's a while like until you're like really deep in the city before you're seeing like really anything besides a Toyota. And so, of course, I get to asking why.
100% why. Did Toyota buy Africa? God, they bought like these 400 billion acres. We're only going to put Toyotas there.
Yep, and we're going to let a bunch of lions roam it and see how it goes.
And then one part store. I guarantee you they don't have the part in there, man. You do not have this. I guarantee. What's the supply chain? What's the
exactly.
ETA? 4 years.
Exactly. But what I did find out, and for one, they reuse parts constantly.
Yeah.
So they will try to fix a part and then they'll put it back on the vehicle, or they'll find a way to like kind of
reman.
Not even like rebuild, not even refurbish. I mean, like, I don't know what a step down even below refurbish is, but that's kind of what they're doing. But why Toyota is because like decades and decades ago, they found that of course the Land Cruisers were like the vehicles that in the, off-roading survived.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they were good and they were tough
Well, it's like
enough.
Australia.
Exactly.
The safari.
Right, exactly. They were tough enough for safaris. And so that just built like a trust in the brand. But then what it also did for the last several decades is trained no matter where you were, so that if you did break down in the middle of the Serengeti, there was somebody that actually knew how to repair Toyotas. And so that's just how the brand built. However, and this was really interesting to me, is like I got exposed to seeing right to repair in a whole different manner.
But that's what I was going to ask you. That experience, obviously you've seen the industry probably at a global scale, just with what you do, head of customers and strategy.
Yes.
Right? North America. I mean, there's a lot. I've done a good bit of traveling in the third world, in Asia, and but how did your perspective?
Yeah. So
changes a little bit.
It does.
It gives it perspective.
It gives you perspective.
Like, holy cow, we're trying to get this image right or whatever.
It gives you completely just different perspective, and it also makes you take a step back and realize, we talk here like customer first and what does the customer need? Yeah. But it puts that topic in a completely different perspective of truly what does the customer need?
Yes.
I mean, because they don't need the marketing fluff. They don't need the flyers. They don't need the giveaways. By no means.
I need the part.
They need the part.
I need the part.
They need the part. They need the training, and they need the access.
Yeah.
So they're getting like these big brand new Land Cruisers have been being, these V8 ones that are coming out and being released, and these safari companies are returning them because they can't access the information in the vehicle they need to repair.
So it's almost like you need the same vehicle year over year with no changes.
But the thing is like
to accommodate the like how they're operating.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, like, it's great. Like, as it gets newer, it could really handle. But the thing is, it came down to that right to repair it. The OEMs have started locking them out, and they're out in the middle of Serengeti. They don't have a Toyota dealership anywhere near them.
Yeah. I have to hop the ocean.
And it's like, so it really, for me, like, right to repair came so visible to me. Because like they are buying instead a vehicle that's 20 some years old because they know they can fix it. They know they can access the information they need. And instead
that stunts innovation. Right?
Completely.
It stunts innovation.
Completely.
Right to repair, we got to keep pushing.
Yes.
We're going to get there. You don't win day one ever.
Never.
But we got to keep fighting.
And we have an industry that's not going to give up on it. I mean,
we're OGs, man.
It's not going to give up.
Automotive is a tough. You got to be a little tough.
You got to have some thick skin, and you got to have some drive, and like you said at the beginning, you got to know how to go on a little bit of sleep.
I don't. I went to bed at 3:00 last night. I was like, oh,
I got a little bit more than you.
Well, that's self-inflicted. Actually, it was Dave Shapiro's fault. He pulled me aside. And
that is no surprise, knowing him.
Yeah, that was for sure. That's awesome. I would love, not that I have any requests from you at all, but if you do travel in to share that, I obviously follow you on LinkedIn. Share that. I love that stuff. I love the traveling piece, but also understanding the industry from another person's perspective. They all have the same goal, right? They have a vehicle. I got to get up and running. And that's what we're in the transportation automotive parts industry, and it's a freaking awesome industry. Young talent, and I always say this, but young talent, I don't know, Megan, you active on LinkedIn. If young talent are looking for an industry that you're unsure of, and look at automotive, reach out to myself, Megan. Everyone's a really helpful place to lift up young talent. We know next generation of leadership. You'll retire one day, and we're gonna push forward and do our best to leave it in an incredible place for the next generation. So it's very
hands
important.
down. There's never been a person in this industry that I've talked to that would not just pick up the phone, and answer any question anyone's got.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Didn't mean to get kind of off topic, but ZF, walk us through, a lot of people know, but the brands you guys portfolio.
Yeah. So ZF Aftermarket is, of course, a division of our overall larger ZF group.
Yep.
So it's a large tier one, number two globally from a tier one perspective. On the OE side, we're about number three in the global aftermarket. And here in US, we go to market under 5 different brands. So we of course have the ZF brand, which has been, world famous for transmissions. Then we've got Sachs, which is great for clutches, shocks. All of our Euro enthusiasts are very well familiar with Sachs, and the second brand, Lemforder, which is the largest chassis provider. And then we've got TRW. We acquired TRW back in 2015.
Okay, it was 15.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, time flies.
Yeah, I know. It's almost 10 years, actually.
Time flies.
So, of course, TRW is a big American traditional brand, but really brings and fills out that braking, steering, and suspension portfolio for us. And our most recent acquisition was back in 2020 under WABCO. Yes. So although that builds out quite a bit of our commercial vehicle program, it makes us the largest actually commercial vehicle provider now in North America and globally. But it also actually has passenger car applications too under the air compressors for shocks. So that also has been a really great add into the Euro enthusiast.
What do you think the strategy is about acquiring a possible new brand for the, I guess you could say, the ZF portfolio? However, is it typically, from your perspective on the manufacturing side, do you typically look for certain categories that you think kind of like pair well, almost like a fine wine and we have a great steak? You're really looking for things to pair well, so ultimately the technicians who's installing that item is not only installing your clutch kit, but they're also installing, something that pairs well. You have quality control. You know what they know. They have trust in your brands, and you kind of just build that.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. What you're speaking of is exactly the strategy behind it. ZF is only looking, of course, for OE brands. Hands down, you got it. That's where our positioning is at. And like when we bought TRW, it was truly to build out the rest of that corner module of the vehicle, right? We already had clutches, we had transmissions, we had shocks, and then it was like, okay, now let's build that out. And that brought in braking, and it brought in more steering, and it brought in more suspension. And so it really helped us then build out where we're basically can supply almost that entire corner of the vehicle now. So, and it was the same thing then WABCO, right? We were, on commercial vehicle side, we were already extremely strong on gearboxes and axles. And it was then bringing in a company that would bring in more the technology side of things and a little bit more on the trailer side, whereas our products were typically only on the tractor end.
Makes a lot of sense. If you haven't checked them out, obviously you guys are moving product a ton through distribution. Almost any major distribution channel would likely stock one or many of your products. Fantastic brand. I've been in this industry for a long time, and there's these brands that you just kind of follow. They're very high quality. They got it together. They really innovate well. I know you're over your customers. Anything from a partnership perspective that you want to, on the customer side of things, anything you want to chat about there?
No, for us, gosh, just even tying it back to the show, this is our time of the year where we really get into those deep discussions with customers, because what we want to do is be able to go into the next year, because everyone's got their books from, January to December. And so we want to make sure that we're always starting the year off strong, because we know the industry enough that we're going to have dips, highs and lows, and
growth happens.
And if you're in the rust belt or you're not, you may have peaks of your season when products are replacing. And so this year, it really just kicks us off. We had our customer reception at the booth last night. It was packed, and it was so great to just feel that energy and that vibe, because like you said, head of customers and strategy, I'm focused on hearing the customer voice, making sure that whatever our strategy is for growth, and that implementation execution, or whether it's what my marketing team or my e-com team is, doing, is they've got that hat on when they're implementing those kind of activities. And so it's really important, really here for me to hear the plans of our customers for next year. Because then I can make sure, does our strategy still fit in regards to where customers see that they're going? Or do I need to kind of adapt or in regards to perhaps portfolio expansion or digital expansion or, even a new, let's say, marketing campaign for them?
Yeah. That's awesome. I know we're close up on time, but Meagan, thanks for stopping by the C2B podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor. It's really an honor. As you guys work through your world with new product launches, things that you're really doing, and you kind of want to, we continually are going to push the limits from the industry perspective with the leaders. I'd say next generation of leadership. I don't know, we're probably around the same age group. I think we got another 20 years of really pushing hard in all of this stuff.
Unfortunately, I wish I could retire earlier than that.
Gotta go rob a bank, man. Or do something.
We are in Vegas. I mean, that's world famous.
I'll be right behind you after you take the ATM.
Okay.
Just go rip one of the machines out. No, it's a great time. Have a great week. I know we're winding down the week here. Safe travels back to the mothership.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you and on behalf of ZF and everything you guys do. And please share the chronicles of Meagan when you travel. I think that's a really
okay.
Please do that for me at least.
For you at least. I promise. All right.
Anyhow, awesome. Have a great week.
All
We'll
right.
talk soon.
Thank you, Gideon.
Yeah.